So recently I asked on my Instagram what you guys would like to see. I feel like I've got a really deep voice today. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but in my head it's deep. And a few people asked me how I do my makeup, specifically my eye makeup. And actually it's something that I get quite a lot of questions about, but I've done it exactly the same way for like probably 4 or 5 years now. So to me it's like nothing. But I will make this video just in case you guys wanted to know. This is the makeup that I use every day, basically. If I could only take one of everything, this is what I would take on holiday or something. So the first thing that I do, I think of this as like my transition from skincare to makeup. I've already done my skincare today. I use this in the winter months, especially Dermalogica Nightly Lip Treatment, and I do use it at night, but I also do just use it in the morning. Oh, would you like to focus, please? Thank you. So you just kind of pump a little bit of it down and it comes out, and then I just kind of, it doesn't need to be that neat because it's completely transparent, but it's so hydrating. Again, this is Dermalogica Skin Perfect Primer. This is really good because it has SPF 30 and it's really slightly shimmery as well, so it has a really nice brightening effect. I just put some of that on the back of my hand and then just apply it all over my face. I know that quite a lot of people don't use primers, but I don't think I would ever go back to not using a primer now, just because I really feel like it helps my foundation to go on a lot smoother. It makes my pores a lot less obvious, as well as helping it stay on for longer. And I do really like this one from Dermalogica. It's part of their Age Smart range. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So it's got those anti-aging properties in there as well. So like, if you're new to primer, I definitely would say like look for a primer that has skincare benefits as well, because that's going to be the thing that's making direct contact with your face. Okay, next up I take concealer. I'm not too fussy about concealer, but at the moment I'm using Lasting Radiance from Rimmel. I just try and find a concealer that matches my skin tone and doesn't crease. That's my criteria. And I use a lot of concealer. I always get comments whenever I do my makeup on video that I use a lot of concealer, and yeah, I do, but I need all the help I can get. So I do a little triangle under my eyes like this, and then I also need it around my nose because that gets quite red, and then I do some on the bridge of my nose. I don't really know why I do this. I think just because like that's a point in your face that you want to be like highlighted, and then I get redness like around my jaw, so I put it there too. And I've got a spot on my neck at the moment which is gross, so I'll put it there too. And then I just take a wet beauty blender. This one's a bit gross now, and I will just dab it all in. I use a beauty blender. Sometimes I'll use a brush, only if I'm feeling lazy though. I think a beauty blender makes it sit a lot nicer on the skin, as well as keeping it on for longer. I also do think that it gives you a more natural finish, and while I do like to wear a lot of makeup, I don't necessarily like it to look like I'm wearing loads of makeup, even though like it still does. This is my absolute hero foundation. It's the Clinique Anti-Blemish Solutions. I've used this since I was about 14 when my mum made me stop using Dream Matte Mousse, and just, I use makeup from quite a young age. Like I used makeup regularly when I was about 14, I think, because I loved it and I loved doing it and I loved playing around with different colours and stuff like that. And then I went through a phase where I worked on a Clinique counter, so it was like a makeup counter, well, skincare counter really, but I really enjoyed playing around with different eyeshadow like in that phase of my life, and lots of different makeup. And then when I finished working there and I started working as a tutor, I think I just sort of stopped playing around with makeup because I don't think, and maybe this is wrong, like I wouldn't think anything of it if someone turned up at my house this way, but I didn't feel like it was appropriate to turn up to like teach kids with like green eyeshadow. Plus it like takes a long time and they're not going to appreciate it, so I stopped doing it. And now I don't feel like I'm as good at makeup as I used to be, but I definitely do want to get back into it because I did really enjoy it. Okay, so that's the foundation. Then I will go over and set that with a powder. Again, I'm not fussy about what kind of powder it is. I really like the Charlotte Tilbury translucent one, but it is really expensive, and this one works just fine. It's just the Stay Matte, Rimmel Stay Matte powder that you can get at like Sainsbury's, and I just use like a fluffy brush and literally just like swirl it around in the pan and just all over my face. There is no art to this, just get the powder on the face. Now sometimes I do my brows next, and sometimes I do my like contour bronzer next. I'm going to do the bronzer today. I most of the time use this Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette. So this is the lightest and it's quite a cool tone. This one is like more medium-y orange, and then this one's a lot darker. And I do use them all, but obviously you can tell which one I use the most. I'm pale. I use this one first of all to just give my nose a bit of shape, and I know that you shouldn't do this, but this is just a Kiko brush, and I just pinch it together to make it smaller. I used to have a brush that I did have like dedicated to this, but you know. So I'll blend that in later. I'm just going to let that sit there for now so you can see like all of the bronzer. So then the next thing that I do is take that same shade and I just kind of outline like where I'm going to put the slightly darker one so I don't screw it up basically. So I'm going to put that under my cheekbones there. I know it looks like quite a sharp line, obviously I will blend it out. And the same on the other side. Is that the same? Yeah, pretty much. And then I put it on my forehead and then under my jaw. Then I take the slightly warmer one. And I basically just like fill that out a little bit more, and this will be buffed out properly in a minute. And what this helps to do is to give the illusion that your forehead is slightly smaller, which is good for me, and yeah, give the illusion of like stronger cheekbones and jawbone in theory. So yeah, I'll just blend it out using like circular motions. I'm not putting any pressure on my skin at all, literally just touching the surface of the skin and just moving the brush in circular motions. Sometimes this brush doesn't really cut it for me because it's obviously got product on it, in which case I go in with the blush brush from earlier that I did my powder with and do the same, and then that works. But when I blend my nose, I make sure that I only go in up and down motions. There's hardly any product on there to be fair anyway, but I don't want it like spreading out because I want this part of my face to appear quite light, because that's what makes you look like you don't have bags under your eyes. There's a method to all of this, you know. Next up is blush. I don't have a particular blush that I like to use, but at the moment I'm using this one by Bourjois. It's just like a little rosy pink blush on this Real Techniques blush brush, and I just put that like on the apples of my cheeks and then like pull it backwards a little bit. So I'm going to take the blush brush and just buff it all in. Onto highlight. I do this in such a weird order, I just realised, but I'm going to use this matte. This was limited edition, but they have something similar all the time, and it's just like a rose goldy kind of tone. I prefer rosy tones to gold tones on my skin because I have like a pinky undertone. So if anything, like this one's more gold than what I would usually use, but it's so pretty that I don't care. So I use a setting brush, whatever that means, from Real Techniques, just to dust that over my cheekbones, my cupid's bow on the top of my lips, the tip of my nose, and then under my brows, like my brow bone basically. So that's my face makeup. The next thing that I do is brows. There's a few things that I use for this depending on how much time I have and how much I can be bothered. The first thing that I use is this. It's again Kat Von D 24 Hour Super Brow in medium brown. Now I will take this underneath the brow to give me the arch that I want. That's like my main focus when I do my brows, is getting the arch and also getting the tail nice and like thin at the end. It's hard to talk and concentrate. And some days we go quite bold and other days we go less bold. Today we're going for medium bold. And then the last thing that I do to my brows is use this Benefit 24 Hour Brow Setter. I love this stuff. Again, this is another like recent addition to my makeup routine, but it's so easy. You literally just brush it through your brows and it just makes them look like fluffier. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but basically because it coats the individual hairs, it makes the hairs look thicker. So that's face, brows. Now we're on to eyeshadow. Now eyeshadow is the thing that I get the most questions about. I love my eyeshadow. It's my favourite part of my makeup routine because you get to play with colour. I'm not going to be doing this palette specific. My goal is always to make my eyes look bigger. I've had a hang up since I was little about how small my eyes are. So my goal is always to enlarge the appearance of my eyes. So the key is 4 to 5 different shades. You can find these shades in near enough any palette, but today I'm going to use this quad that I made up from MAC because I think these are really typical of what I wear, but also because, again, you can use this kind of colour with any palette near enough. This is actually just the brush that came in the Urban Decay Smoky palette, and I use this end of it, so it's super dense and little, and I use this one which is called Floof by MAC, and I really pack that onto the brush because I'm going to put that in my inner corner, which really helps to open the eyes up. So that's the first step, that's the first colour done. The next thing that I do is get the Real Techniques, I don't know which brush this is, but it's just a really fluffy eyeshadow brush that's like a little bit, I don't like slanted brushes for this, I like rounded ones. This is what I would call a transition shade. So there is one of these in every palette and it's normally the lightest or the second lightest matte shade. Actually that probably depends on your skin tone, but for me that's the case. And just I'll get that all over my brush and then first of all focus on the outer corner like this. You're just creating a shadow and then work it inwards so that it's like darker in the outside but then the colour is still there as you go in. This is going to be really hard to describe. The Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette has a shade called, I can't remember, but it is like the perfect transition shade. It's the one in like the top left hand corner and it is my ideal. I love it so much. And I'm just going to do exactly the same on the other eye. The more you blend this out, the better. You want it to look like a really natural gradient. Well, you might not, but I do. Can you tell that I'm really trying not to tell you how to do anything? Because you should do what you want, but I'm going to do this. I take it underneath my eye as well. Basically, the idea is that you're going, oh no, this is just where my natural eye sockets are. Aren't my eyes huge? Right? That's probably not perfectly blended, but it will do for now. Then you take a shimmer shade. So if you're new to it, I would say go for a fairly light shimmer shade, probably something that's not too dissimilar to the colour of your eyelids. So I'm going to use this one. It's like a rose goldy colour from MAC. It's called All That Glitters, and this used to be my #1 favourite eyeshadow. My favourite one now, again, is probably from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and it is that like pinky, not the really light one, but the pinky kind of shade, because I think, again, rosy tones suit me best. That's all over my lid now, no higher than the edge of my lid. Next up is a darker matte colour. Now this one actually has some really subtle glitter in it, but it's not shimmery, and that's the key. I'm using this brush. It came in a set from I don't know how you pronounce it, MASQD. This is the crease brush, and I like it because of how round and fluffy it is. Just pat it in there. You don't want too much product because you don't want to overkill this bit, or I don't, at least. You can do what you want. And then focus it on the outer corner and then work it through the crease. So basically where the shimmer shade meets the transition shade, and just really, really work it in. This one is actually probably, again, darker than I would necessarily normally go. So it takes quite a lot of blending. I take that underneath as well. Yeah, because you want to blend that colour throughout. I tend to not go as far with it as the other one though, so you still get like a bit of a gradient underneath. But yeah, circular motions. Just really blend it in, no harsh lines, etc, etc. And then actually normally right at the end I take that big fluffy brush from the transition shade and I go over everything, just to make sure that there really are no harsh lines at all. So that's eyeshadow. At this stage in my makeup I normally think that I look quite like top heavy, so I'll go and do my lips just because it makes me feel better. This is my Ride or Die lipstick. It is the Clinique Pop Matte Lip Colour and Primer in the colour Blushing Pop. It's the perfect, I'm gonna stop trying to talk while I'm, look. It's the perfect colour that is like, I'm not like aggressively wearing lipstick, but it just balances everything out. I wear this all the time. It's lovely because it's matte, so it does make your lips look bigger, I would say, but it stays on really well, and when it wears off evenly. You don't get like that weird lip liner look that you get with a lot of lipsticks, particularly matte ones. At this point I normally run into my bathroom so I can stand up and do it super close to the mirror, because this is the hard bit. Okay, I have this NARS eyeliner, this Clinique liquid liner, which is the best liquid liner in the world. Then I have eyelash curlers and mascara. With the pencil eyeliner, I try and get it in that space. Oh, I've just got it everywhere. I can never film my liner. I try and get it in that space between the lashes and my eyeball, and just try not to poke myself in the eyeball. But I don't do this on the lower lash line, just the upper one. Then I'd get my Clinique Pretty Easy liquid liner and do a little wing. I'm not actually gonna talk while I do this because it will go wrong, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus on the wing first, and I'm gonna fill it in, and then I'm really gonna try and get a really gradual line so that it comes from really, really thin to like a little bit thicker at the end. We'll see. Okay, we've got the base of a wing. Okay, that's the wing. I'm like not even breathing, this is so much pressure. There we go, that's done. It's not perfect, but we'll take it. Okay, that's my eyeliner. It's definitely not perfect, but we'll take it. Some days are better than others. This is a medium day. Then we're going to take this torture device and curl my lashes, because my lashes, they're tiny and they just stick out straight, which is not very helpful for anyone. And then you know how to use mascara. I'm at the moment using Rimmel Scandaleyes Volume on Demand. I am not fussy about my mascara. If I need it to last a long time, which I don't really today, but I'm feeling fancy, I will sometimes go on with my Makeup Forever Mist and Fix like setting spray stuff. Actually, I'll just wait for my mascara to dry. Obviously, you don't have to do your makeup like this. This is just how I do my makeup. You can do it however you want. I think makeup's just fun. You don't have to follow any rules. You can do whatever you like. I hope that you enjoyed watching that. Maybe got ready at the same time or whatever. Don't let anybody tell you how to do your makeup. Just have a nice time. Those are my parting words of wisdom. My mascara's probably dry now.